Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Duke Oishi.
And I'm Nicole Hori.
In our show this time, we'll cover the Big Bang Theory, inflation, and the multiverse with Alex Filippenko, a world-famous astronomer visiting from UC Berkeley.
We'll also hear from Roy Gal, an astronomy professor at the Institute for Astronomy at UH Manoa, to help us understand what Filippenko was talking about.
Alex Filippenko teaches astrophysics at UC Berkeley. He's also a member of the prestigious National Academy of Sciences. Year after year, he is voted the best-liked professor at Berkeley.
He is originally from California and received his BA in physics at UC Santa Barbara in 1979 and a PhD in astronomy from Caltech in 1984, where he was a Hertz Foundation Fellow. He was later a Miller Fellow at UC Berkeley and was appointed to its faculty. His research focuses on supernovae and active galaxies at optical, ultraviolet, and near-infrared wavelengths. Filippenko came to Hawaii a few weeks ago, shortly after IFA's very successful annual Astronomy Open House on Woodlawn Drive, and he presented a talk at the Kennedy Theater at UH Manoa. It was very well attended, not only by the astronomy community, but also many others who had heard of him or were interested in the frontiers of astronomy and astrophysics.
He spoke about the Big Bang Theory, inflation, that's the astronomical kind, and the multiverse, that's really the multi-universe. As you can see from our footage, he's a remarkable speaker, and that must be at least part of the reason that the students at Berkeley like him so much.
Alex Filippenko, who most, if not all of you, already know in some way or another, but for those who don't, he's a professor at the University of California at Berkeley who studies things like exploding stars, supernovae. He is, I believe, the only member of both teams that won the 2011 Nobel Prize in Physics for the discovery of the accelerating expansion of the universe. He is a multiple time awardee of the best professor at UC Berkeley, and there are a lot of professors at UC Berkeley, so he's got to be really good. He won the Carl Sagan Prize for Science Popularization, so he's renowned throughout the world as a great speaker, and we're really pleased to have him here to tell us about the Big Bang Theory, inflation, and the multiverse.
Hawaii is such an incredible place for astronomy. You have some of the darkest skies, some of the very best sights in the world. I love coming over to the Big Island to use the Keck telescopes, and I all too rarely make it over to Oahu, but I've had a really great time here with my family all week. How many of you knew that today is Astronomy Day, May 10th? Yeah, May 10th, Astronomy Day, look at that. It's a time to connect with the general public and stuff. And in fact, I did a 4-hour Reddit AMA this morning with a bunch of people throughout the country. And my wife, Noelle, launched a new website today, astroalex.org. And it's a place where I'll answer questions if you have questions, and there'll be various videos of my talks and things like that, and cool t-shirts that you can get to support astronomy, like dark energy is the new black. Yeah, I know, it's a good one, you know. So anyway, new website, Astronomy Day, fun overall. Now my title today was Big Bang Theory, Inflation, and the Multiverse, an English major's introduction to the birth and early evolution of the universe. I was told during the reception preceding the talk that gee, you know, it's cool when an English major understands these kinds of things and can explain them. I was not an English major, but I do now understand that one could interpret my title as meaning that I was an English major. No, this is a talk that I hope English majors will understand. I was a physics major with the intention of going on in astrophysics. Now, having cleared that up, let me clear up the other thing. Yes, I'll be talking about the Big Bang Theory, but no, not the show. Even though I personally like the show quite a lot. It's one of my favorite shows, okay? No, this talk tonight will be about the real McCoy, cosmology. That subset of astronomy that deals with the structure and evolution of the universe as a whole. We're interested in some of the grandest topics. How big is the universe? Is it infinite, or does it wrap around itself somehow? Is it infinitely old, or did it have a finite beginning? Well, in fact, we now know that our universe began 13.8 billion years ago, and this was a big time story. You see that, a big time story. I guess I have a little pointer right here. When did the universe begin? How will the universe end? Many of you know that the universe is expanding. Will it continue to expand forever? Will it someday implode on itself? This too was a big time story, how the universe will end. In the June 2001 issue, June 25th, I guess, of Time magazine, there was an article about some of the work that the two groups that I worked with did. And at that time, we thought we knew how the universe would end. We thought it would easily expand forever, faster and faster and faster with time. And although that's still a very clear and compelling possibility, we now realize it's not the only possibility. This dark energy driving apart the universe right now may someday change sign, and if there's enough of it, the universe could still someday implode. But as I tell my students in my introductory astronomy class, probably not before Wednesday's final exam, okay? Cosmologists are also interested in the basic building blocks of the universe. Those are the galaxies. Gigantic gravitationally bound structures containing of order 100 billion stars, stretching 100,000 light years from end to end. You know, light travels at 186,000 miles per second, 6 million miles per year, and yet this is 100,000 of those light years across. This is what we think our Milky Way galaxy looked like. By the way, this is not our Milky Way galaxy. If someone has a picture of the Milky Way like this, come see me afterwards. I'd like to purchase usage rights from you. This is a different galaxy seen from the outside. But there are a lot of them, okay? Here's one of my favorite photos from the Hubble Space Telescope, part of what's called the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. This is a tiny but representative section of the sky. Imagine a grain of sand held at arm's length. Imagine how small that looks. That's about the size of this photograph. Yet this is such a deep photograph. It sees such faint objects that you can see something like 2,000 galaxies in it. Look at that. We can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I could use up my hour counting galaxies. That would be pretty boring for you, but hey, it's a rather cushy job. They pay us to sit around and count galaxies, you know, so anyway. So this is a representative part of the sky. We know that because we've taken many such photos, and everywhere there are thousands of galaxies. We can now tell that over the entire sky, there's something like 100 billion galaxies, each with billions upon billions of stars. And that's just in the parts of the universe that we can see. We now have reasons to believe that the universe extends far beyond those parts that we can see, and everywhere it's filled with galaxies, the basic building blocks. How do they form? How do they evolve with time? These are also some of the key questions of cosmology. So you can see what a wonderful, vibrant, exciting field it is, and I feel very privileged to have been working in this field for the past few decades. Cosmology, just a fantastic field. Now, let me point out, before I move on, that among the general public, present company excluded, because you're at this talk, you have some interest in astronomy, maybe you've gone to other IFA talks, but among the general public, there's considerable confusion between cosmology, the study of the structure and evolution of the universe as a whole, and cosmetology, the study of hairdos and facials. Now, I admit they sound similar, but they're not the same, just as astronomy and astrology aren't the same. They have a common root, all that there is, or to make whole of, but they're not the same. And they even have different spellings. In fact, the only real difference between cosmology and cosmetology is that the latter has an extra ET in it, like the extraterrestrial. Now, I don't know the cosmic significance of that, but look at that. That's the only way cosmology and cosmetology differ. ET, whatever. Anyway, you might say, surely people don't have this confusion. Well, look, I'm a scientist. I must present you with evidence. So here's a copy of an ad that a colleague placed in my mailbox some months ago. Make cosmology your career. Training and supervision in hairstyling, blow drying, permanent waves, coloring and frosting. You laugh, but these are very important topics, okay? Scalp treatments, body and skin care, style cuts, basic cuts. For further information and interviews, call that number. Now, classes started back in March, so you missed the spring quarter or the spring semester. but I'm sure they'll have it in the summer session or in the fall of your local college or university. So if you want to do as I and many of my colleagues at Berkeley and here at the IFA have done and get to the cutting edge of this field, you need to take a course like this.
When he concluded his remarks, he invited Q&A. To our surprise, a number of grade school kids came up to ask him questions. They were brilliant and amazing, showing that kids can understand astrophysics just as well as, if not better than, most adults.
It's expanding faster than the speed of light, so you can't send information back and forth. Is that why we can't see the rest of the universe? Because it's like we can't send information back and forth because it's expanding too fast?
Right, so there's, in a sense, an observable horizon to our universe, and it's a distance beyond which light couldn't have traveled to us. Now, it turns out light has a more nearby horizon that's set by a technicality, and that is that for the first 380,000 years of the universe's existence, it was opaque. So light just kind of scattered around. But other types of things, little neutrinos or gravitational waves, can travel that far, all right? But we can't see gravitational waves that are from parts of the universe that have been sent to beyond our horizon. So the universe, like I say, maybe 10 to the 41, who knows how many times bigger than the distance to which we can see. And that's because of this humongously fast superluminal expansion that inflation is all about. Yeah, cool. Isn't that awesome?
If the multi-universes, and I know from string theory that some strings can travel between universes.
The ones that can travel from one place to another are the gravitons, the carriers of gravitational waves, because they're little loops. So they're not tethered to our 3 XYZ dimensions, but electromagnetic waves are tethered.
So I've been thinking, if the gravitational waves stay together, the waves might actually make a gravitational ghost where there actually is nothing.
I know what you're saying. It's a great idea. There are actually people thinking along these same lines, that what we think looks like dark matter, some people think is matter in another membrane, or maybe some part of our universe that kind of wraps around, and we're feeling the signal that's going through that other dimension. So there are people actually working on this kind of an idea. Good job, you're 10? That's great.
So, like, you know how they have the religion about God and Buddha, and why would you choose to believe in math if someone invented it a long time ago?
Why would I choose to believe in math? That's a great question. You know why? Because through a mathematical description of the universe, as embodied in the physical laws, we get explanations for what we see that are reproducible. We can do experiments, we can do observations. They yield the same results each time if we conduct the observations and experiments carefully. They have a consistency such that we can unify seemingly disparate phenomena. And let me give you an example of that. Where'd the apple go? Well, my son, Orion, yes, Orion, like the constellation, took the apple. Newton unified a terrestrial phenomenon, the falling of an apple, with a celestial phenomenon, the orbit of the moon around the Earth, and indeed of other phenomena, Jupiter's moons going around it, double stars going around each other. He unified many seemingly different phenomena under a common umbrella, his law of gravitation and the laws of motion. They appear to be universal. So it is the success, the repeated success of math and physics that leads scientists such as myself to believe in it in a way that our faith, whatever it may be, is different. In faith, you don't look for this kind of repeatability and evidence and stuff. So it's different ways of looking at the world. But math and physics work, and hopefully you don't need one yet, but someday you might have a pacemaker in your heart, and that'll work because clever people use the laws of science to make that thing. You know? Yeah. Science works. I'm flying back to the continent tomorrow because airplanes work, and they're based on the laws of physics. That's why I believe in them. And then math, just to go one more tiny thing, math in a sense is even deeper. If you start with a certain set of assumptions, you can then actually prove things step by step. See, science is not a proof. Observations provide better and better evidence. Experiments provide better and better evidence. We never know whether it is the truth with a capital T. It's just a good explanation, a good description of reality. Whereas math, if you adopt the assumptions, then you can truly prove with a capital P that certain theorems and stuff are right. And so math has a certain elegance and objectivity to it, which is just seductive.
It was a lovely evening at Kennedy Theater with Alex Filippenko and the Hawaii astronomy community. But frankly, those not familiar with astrophysics or the Big Bang Theory or inflation or the multiverse needed more to follow and understand what he was talking about.
So ThinkTech invited our old friend Roy Gal, an associate professor at the Institute for Astronomy, to come to our downtown studio and further explain the astrophysics Alex Filippenko talked about in his lecture.
Maybe the easiest place to start is that the Big Bang Theory is a collection of different steps, basically, that outline how the universe that we know, that we understand, started, got bigger, and is continuing to get bigger today. And we know the universe is expanding today because we can measure how fast galaxies are moving away from us. And the further away they are from us, the faster they seem to be moving. And this is a direct evidence for the expansion. If you were to do a numbers game of, he had an device that he used. There was a bunch of ping pong balls on a stretchy, like, rubber band. And if you're on any ping pong ball, as you stretch the rubber band, the ping pong balls that are further away from you seem to move faster. But that's because every bit of space between the ping pong ball that you would be on and others is expanding. So that's what you get as an expanding universe. And we already knew the universe was expanding when Edwin Hubble, who the Hubble Space Telescope is named after, made these first observations of this galaxy velocities in the early 20th century. So we've had about 100 years of knowing the universe is expanding. So if you think something is expanding today, then if you just rewind that, it must have been all smushed together at some point. So the Big Bang Theory comes out of that idea that at some point the universe was very compact and then it expanded. And actually, I'd like to add, this is an example of, interesting terminology. When this theory was first proposed, or early on in the days of these theories, many astronomers thought this was baloney. Many astronomers at the time favored what's called a static or steady state universe, where the universe is, was, and always will be the same. So they fought, astronomers who had that idea fought against this expanding universe idea.
I love that when that happens in science.
But that's science, that is science. So people held out for that, and yet in the end, the data, the observations won, and everyone had to give up on their steady state theory. Well, all but one or two astronomers who even some to this day have these ideas in their heads and try to come up with explanations. But basically science won out. The data just told you what the truth was, and even if you felt like it should have been steady state, you had to put that in the toilet and flush it. Okay? You have to swallow your pride, right? That all the work you did. But anyway, so
is the expansion happening at a steady rate, though? Assuming
no,
or is it accelerating?
It is accelerating. So the supernova results for which the 2011 Nobel Prize was awarded showed that today the expansion of the universe seems to be accelerating.
Hawaii has great astronomy resources. It has the IFA at UH Manoa, which has a very talented research and teaching faculty, administration, and staff. It also has a great following here, probably because so many people in Hawaii are interested in the stars and in astronomy.
After all, we have the phenomenal resources on top of Mauna Kea and Haleakala and the world-famous telescopes there, hopefully soon to include the huge 30-meter telescope being developed on Mauna Kea by a consortium led by the University of California.
For many years, Hawaii has had a worldwide reputation as a leader in astronomy and in the global astronomical and scientific community, connecting us with people like Alex Filippenko.
We should support astronomy in Hawaii. We should support IFA. We should support the development of astronomical facilities on Mauna Kea and Haleakala. And of course, we should celebrate and attend talks by visiting scientists like Alex Filippenko.
Astronomy gives the IFA and UH great prestige around the world. We should do everything we can to celebrate it, as a source of science, revenue, and jobs. Scientifically, it's one of Hawaii's most important products. And now, let's take a look at the ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
ThinkTech broadcasts video and audio for all of our talk shows live on the internet from 1 to 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon. If you missed the show or want to replay or share any show, they're all archived on YouTube.
Visit thinktechhawaii.com for our live stream and YouTube links, or to join our email list and get these links and advisories on our upcoming shows.
We also invite you to be part of our live audience at our downtown studio in Pioneer Plaza. Contact Jay at thinktechhawaii.com. Raise your awareness in every way on ThinkTech.
On Thursday, July 22nd, ThinkTech will join with the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum to present the Hawaii Clean Energy Day program for 2014, which will also be at the downtown Laniakea YWCA. You can sign up to attend this program on hawaiienergypolicy.hawaii.edu.
And now, here's this week's ThinkTech commentary.
I'd like to talk about leadership. About 400 people follow me on Twitter. That does not mean that they would change careers or start selling off their gold if I told them to, but it does mean that in this world of information and communication, those people are looking at what I have to tweet about, what I have to say. Whether trivial comic observation or deep commentary, it gets in front of people. And the people I follow on Twitter, my Facebook friends, news feeds I choose to read, radio programs I listen to, news I watch, and people I talk with all shape my world and inform my decisions. I may not be led in the strictest terms by these, but I am governed by the information I allow to flow across my consciousness. And so are you. Our worlds evolve based on the information we choose to receive. Our ability to come together or veer apart is based on that sphere of influence, and that proverbial sphere is a globe now. The definition of a good leader includes time-proven qualities of good judgment, vision, knowledge, communication skills, ethics, and big-picture thinking. Decades ago, we might have also included flexibility among those skills, but not necessarily predominantly. Now, I believe good leaders must also possess attributes of current thinking, broad awareness, and flexibility. In short, they need to be information savvy. We must know and respect the shoulders on which we stand while keeping our eyes and ears open and selecting our information feeds wisely, while recognizing that there is so much more we do not know, and we must remain flexible. Our leaders must be willing to react, change, flow, and evolve while remaining true to the core tenets of their charge. Today, that is what we should be looking for in our leaders, and that is what we should look for in ourselves. Because like it or not, we are all following. We are all being followed, and we are all responsible for the choices that govern our globe. What kind of leader are you today? I'm Donna Blanchard with this ThinkTech commentary.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech. But first, we want to thank our underwriters.
Castle & Cook Hawaii, 160 years of investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state.
Collateral Analytics, a Hawaii-based tech company empowering the real estate industry to make better informed property investment decisions.
The Foreign Trade Zone, bringing the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs.
Galen Ho, a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Maui Electric and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island.
Hawaii Energy, the energy conservation and efficiency program created to help Hawaii residents and businesses adopt a clean energy lifestyle.
The Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, incorporating diverse perspectives into the design of a forward-looking energy strategy.
Hawaii Gas, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future.
Hawaii Pacific Health, bringing technology and teamwork together to transform healthcare in Hawaii.
The High Tech Development Corporation, the state's leading technology agency.
The Scheidler Family Foundation, supporting many educational, cultural, and charitable organizations in Hawaii, including ThinkTech.
Okay, Nicole, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like JFI Dell does. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
Definitely, Duke. For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a guest or volunteer, a producer or an intern, and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Duke Oishi. Thanks so much for joining us on ThinkTech. You can watch this show throughout the week and tune in next Sunday evening for our next important weekly episode. Aloha, everyone.
I'm Nicole Hori. See you next time.